I've spent over 15 years working inside some of the biggest e-commerce companies in the world. I've worked with exceptional teams, brand teams, exceptional talent, but there's always been one problem that has reoccurred time and time again, and that has been the planning of campaign toolboxes and playbooks. I've seen teams take weeks, if not months, scramble to coordinate and create strategies to produce campaign toolboxes that deliver. And unfortunately, they still come back incomplete. And what I've done is I've built a tool using Claude code, which does that in 60 seconds. And in this video, I'm going to show you why it works and why e-commerce companies are buying this tool today and how you can also sell it to them. Here's the problem that nobody talks about in e-commerce content marketing. Now, the problem is not creativity, that's not the bottleneck, and it's not even budget or strategy, it's the brief. Now, when a campaign brief is weak, everything downstream is weak. Paid ads are misaligned, agencies come back with the wrong assets, and everybody wonders when the campaign has completed what went wrong, when the answer the whole time was sat at the start of the process. It was the campaign brief, the toolbox, the playbook. Now, I've sat in rooms in 9-figure companies, and let me tell you the difference what I've experienced between a campaign that performs well and one that doesn't. It always comes down to the guidelines in the campaign toolbox that is issued right from the start to markets. And the irony of it is even companies that are doing 5 to 10 million a year, some of them will be doing briefs just on the fly. You'll just see a few points in a Google Docs document or a Notion page. And then when it comes time for execution, the same questions are going back and forth. The same time is being wasted. And this tool is there to solve that problem so companies never have to scramble at the last minute. Now, I'll give you a bit of context about where this idea came from. Working in Fortune 500 companies, I was fortunate enough to see how the process works, how the brand teams work with channel leads, how channel strategy works, brand guidelines, SOPs, and how all the content comes together to form this overall brief, which is then issued to markets, and they're the ones that go out and implement it. But one thing I realized is companies that are sat anywhere between 1 to 5 million a year do not have access to these processes. So I took it upon myself to create the brief generation tool, an AI tool using Claude Code, where they input simple pieces of data regarding the campaign that they are running. And this can be something along the lines of Valentine's or spring or summer. And then for a later discussion, I can also talk about other campaign ideation that some of the biggest companies in the world do. And it produces the output in 60 seconds. And the skills that have been installed into the campaign brief generator come from Fortune 500 companies. And how do I know this? Well, I've written hundreds of them. And in fact, I was responsible for the Black Friday campaign last year, 2025, which produced over 400 million in revenue. Okay, so let's run through this as a demonstration. We'll start off with a campaign name. So it's now March, so let's start getting prepared for the summer campaign. So let's call it Summer Clearance 2026. And this is going to be a seasonal sale, so we select this from the options here. And for the date, we will start this, let's say, on the 1st of June. And this can run for a month, so we'll run this till the 1st of July. Next. Now here, the audience and the objectives. Who are we targeting? So we are going for new customer acquisition. We are looking to retain existing customers, and we will also look to reactivate dormant customers over the last month. So any customer that has engaged with the brand over the last month, we will look to reactivate those. The campaign objective here is to increase conversion rate by 50%, taking it from 3% to 4.5%. Retain 30% of our customer base, of our existing customers. And we also want to reactivate 20% of dormant users who have signed up to our blog. Any context or constraints, this is where we talk about any previous learnings, any platform constraints, anything regarding budget, creative dependencies. So we will say that this campaign performed well last summer and yielded a 40% increase in revenue. And this is why we are doing it again. Click next. Here we input all the stakeholders. We're not going to do this now. We'll just leave this blank. All corporate companies ensure that they know who is responsible for what, who is the campaign owner, who is responsible for web, paid, CRM. You understand. It's all the channel leads essentially. We'll click next. Now the web scope, so we will have a homepage hero section. We will also add a subnav banner to the navigation. We will have a dedicated landing page where we can showcase products that are on offer and even bundles. The PLP will have a banner. The PDP will have some tags. We won't have a teaser page. And we won't have a post-purchase section or a blog neither. In terms of CRO, so conversion rate optimization features, we'll have a countdown timer, an exit intent pop-up, maybe a bundle builder, a referral incentive, and we will also have a lead gen form for those users that scroll to the bottom of a page and do not take any action. We will try to capture their details. And in terms of personalization, we will do this to new visitors, returning visitors, and high-value customers whose orders are over a set amount, and we don't need to set that amount just yet. Now, the channels that we'll be activating, obviously web, because this is where all the offers will be showcased. We'll do paid search, we will do paid social, so this can be Facebook, Instagram, etc. We can do TikTok as well. We'll have organic search, organic social. We will, to reactivate dormant users and to communicate with existing users, we will send emails out. We won't do SMS, affiliate, or app. We'll leave those. How many markets? Now, assuming that you do operate in multiple markets, I'm based in the UK, so I'm going to select the UK. Let's just pick 2 more. We'll do Italy and Spain. But any legal blockers or any context that we need to provide here? Nothing really. None of these markets have any restrictions around promotions that last for a month, so it's not considered as always-on activity, and this is something that their trading laws allow them to do. And then the summary, the campaign generator gives you a brief summary. And here you could just confirm all the information. If not, you can go back and make any amendments, and then we will generate the campaign brief. Now this, bearing in mind, just like I mentioned, this process would take brand teams and channel teams 3 to 4 weeks. Now I've seen for some bigger campaigns such as Black Friday, end of year, or even January sales, these campaign briefs have taken 6 weeks to coordinate, with multiple channel teams aligning on a regular basis just to ensure that their messaging is fixed and aligned right across the board, to ensure that the asset guidelines are being met, to ensure that there are no legal constraints whatsoever. So as you can understand, this is something that most companies, I would say, that perform over, that sit in a revenue bracket of over 20 million, probably activate around about 4 to 5 campaigns every single month. And that's all of the additional smaller local campaigns that complement the bigger ones, such as your Valentine's and your Spring and your Summer and your Black Friday. So this is about to generate the brief now. It shouldn't take no longer. I think we're on about a minute. And here we go. So here is the output. We've got the summer clearance 2026. It's a seasonal sale and it will be activated within these dates here. We've got the markets here. So we've got it for the UK, Italy, and Spain. We've got 7 active channels, 3 markets, 5 CRO features, and we've got 3 personalization rules. Now, just coming down here, the stakeholders, we left this section blank. So when you do input this information, or when your customers, e-commerce companies, input this information, it will be populated here. And then the brief actually starts off with some commercial objectives. So it's understanding what the objective is in terms of what are we trying to get here. So as we selected earlier in the brief, we are trying to acquire new customers. We are also trying to offer promotions to existing customers and reactivate dormant users over the last 30 days. How we will do that? So this is the buy section. So how we deliver that. And then 2, to increase revenue by 40%, conversion rate, and expand the database. So we've got all the information here, and then we have KPIs in terms of revenue, conversion rate, retention rate, and dormant reactivation rate. Now, moving down the brief, we get the campaign timeline, and this is really interesting because if you're not organized in terms of hitting the milestones, so your brief and your alignment across channel teams, creative production, the actual build and tech, if there's no alignment, this is when things can get really messy and you can start overlapping into a section which should have started by now, and you're still trying to scramble together to get, for example, your tech set up, when really you should be at the quality assurance stage by now. Moving down, we've got the end-to-end user journey, and this has been split into top of funnel, middle of funnel, and the bottom of funnel. I've not gone into detail with this, but I think in a separate video I'm going to show you exactly how some of these companies split out their different segments and the different messaging that is presented to customers that are at a different point in the journey. But I'm going to save it for another video because it can get quite long and very detailed.
And then we have the role and the objective of the web channel. So you've got the primary objective, the secondary objective, and the success metric. Then we have the web campaign scope. So we've got the homepage hero, the navigation, landing page, PLP, and PDP as we selected. What changes within these components, the CRO features that also affect and impact these components, and any personalization that can be performed on them. Moving down, we've got web conversion rules, so best practices in terms of what to do and what not to do. And then we move into the channel briefs, so the role and the scope, KPIs, and the owner for paid. CRM, organic, so we've split out all the channels here. And then we provide some guidelines regarding a creative brief, so we get the visual direction, the copy, the tone, hero messaging, any supporting messaging. And then we move down into asset specification guidelines. And this was a huge problem because this is where agencies used to come back with the wrong information. Assets had to go back because they were not compatible with the platforms that they were being implemented on. The measurements may have been incorrect, the resolution, the quality, how they would be optimized for mobile. There was a lot of issues. So this is where we provide these details for markets to implement. And then any legal and compliance, it's all clear. So we've got no issues there. We look at risk. The likelihood of, for example, stock depletion is, assuming that companies are well stocked up, this shouldn't be an issue, but this provides a bit of risk mitigation rules here. A market activation tracker. So as you come down the list here, we did select the UK, Italy, and Spain. And here you can actually, and this is where web teams can begin to understand which markets are activating, when they will be activating, and which elements of the campaign toolbox they will be implementing. And then we just have some FAQs here because everybody has questions for central teams, brand teams, etc. And this can be exported to Word, it can be exported to PowerPoint, because bearing in mind, these briefs are not going to be absolutely 100% full and final. There's always going to be minor amendments that need to be made.
So that's just a basic demonstration of how the campaign brief generator works. Now it's important to note, before I actually input all of the skills into Claude, which I have acquired over the years, I tried to build one of these without assuming that I had zero knowledge whatsoever. So I went onto ChatGPT and said, build me a brief for a summer campaign. And honestly, the output was just a whole world apart. And I realized that even with AI, if you do not have the insider knowledge of working within these companies, you do not know what the output is supposed to look like. So one thing to bear in mind is these cannot just be generated. And it's not a tool that I'm going to show you how to build. It's a tool that I'm actually going to deliver to you so you can pick this up and start to do your own demonstration with e-commerce brands. And how I know that there's a demand for this is because I've tested it with companies that I've previously worked at. And I'm also outsourcing this right now to e-commerce companies who are using it live for campaigns. And one thing that they do understand, and this is what sparks their interest in tools like this, is they hire campaign managers, web teams, content teams, agencies who cost thousands every single month. And a tool like this can easily be billed at somewhere in the region of £800 to £1,000 every single month. And that's just for one company. And that's not even stacking on some of the other tools that I've got coming in the pipeline. So if you are going to take this to companies, simply give them a demonstration of how the tool works. Understand what their big pain points are, and then let them speak. Let them tell you what the problems are, and I will also show you how to amend these tools so you can customize them based on what your client requirements are. And once you can demonstrate the final output, again, you saw 60 to 70 seconds it took to produce such an output, which takes 4 to 6 weeks, I've experienced. This really does sell itself because it cuts out all of the expensive overheads and salaries that come with it. But it makes the whole process more efficient, it saves time, improves the quality. So the end result is far higher in quality than you would get in a manual brief. And I've seen this because I've produced campaigns for 40 markets. And honestly speaking, when teams are not fully aligned, the questions that pile upon you can be extremely daunting. So this is there to save all of those problems. If you are an e-commerce brand, now you've seen how the tool works. And now you've seen what value it provides and how much time and cost it will save you. If you are looking to set up your own business where you are offering tools like this to e-commerce companies, well, now you've seen how it performs and you understand what you can potentially charge for it and how to actually give the demonstration. What I will be doing is putting this inside our community, Ecom AI Insider. This will be put in there for our members to actually run practice demos on it, so before they do pitch this to clients, they can understand and have a play around the tool themselves. If this video was of value to you, then do like, subscribe and share with anybody who you think this can benefit. And I'll see you in the next one.